All right, all right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for joining. This is session 2 of the Android Study Jams Prior Programming Experience track. I'm Roman. I'm a GDG Lawrence organizing lead. I'm also a GDG mentor for the Northeast. This is GDG Boston Android. We have such a treat for you guys tonight. This is again session 2 of a 4-part series that we've been holding for the past few weeks. Every Monday is a different session. So tonight we're going to be discussing navigation, activity, and fragment lifecycle. So again, thank you so much for joining. You're not going to be disappointed. So I truly appreciate everybody joining tonight. So let's proceed. Let me just move that. Okay. So again, a little bit about me. So I'm Roman Jaquez. Again, I'm a mobile developer. I've been in the industry for 10 plus years. I've been developing mobile applications on all platforms, pretty much Flutter, Android, iOS. I'm also a Google Cloud certified architect. I kind of wanted to get like a little bit of extra knowledge to complement the skills that I have as a mobile developer so I can develop like full stack, full blown, robust mobile applications. Also, like I mentioned, I'm a GDG Lawrence lead here in Lawrence, Massachusetts, and I'm also a GDG Northeast mentor. That means, if you want any help in your events, in your local events, I'm here to help you. I'm here to support those type of events, bringing great quality content, just like Elizabeth is doing with GDG Boston Android, bringing these great Android study jams, the same way that NAF is doing some great events in GDG Montreal, Linda at Capital Region. So I'm the mentor for the Northeast. I'm here to support you guys, and I hope to hear from you guys soon. You can just, if you don't mind, you can follow me also on Twitter at Dear Coders. That's my handle, and then I use that to post like usually stuff about Flutter, Android, development in general, and I post usually some of the events that I do in there so that you guys can take advantage of again great events like this one. So would appreciate if you guys follow me there on Twitter at Dear Coders. Would totally appreciate it. Thank you. Let's continue. So again, the learning objectives for tonight. So it's pretty much actually even for the past for the whole series of events that we're going to be holding on Android is pretty much learning the essentials of the Kotlin programming language as an alternative, let's say, to Java to develop Android applications. Also, you're going to be able at the end of this 4-part development series, you're going to be able to like build several Android applications based on the code labs that we will be providing to you. Also, you will learn not only from me tonight, but also from the experts on deck, the best practices for Android development. Throughout the development of these code labs, you will be learning some of those best practices from the experts, from the industry, right from Google on all of these code labs that they've been providing. You should be able to do that. Also, you're going to be discovering resources to continue learning. We're going to be dropping links, some additional code labs, and other resources so that you can continue incrementing your knowledge in Android, Jetpack Compose, Material UI, all those things, the latest version of Android. So you should be able to, from us, we will be providing those great resources for you to continue learning. So truly appreciate you guys joining. Again, like Liz said, join the Slack at the hashtag StudyJam2021. I believe the team on deck will be dropping the links for you to join the Slack channel. You can share your progress in there, but the experts are going to be there helping you along the way. If you get stuck on something, they will be able to help you out. Remember that the labs are online. You can take your time in building those. There's no rush in, like, let's say even tonight, like finishing the code labs tonight. Thank you, Liz, for dropping that in there. And then you're going to be able, at the end, at the last session, the 4th session, like Liz just mentioned, you're going to be able to create an app, and you can even demo it to other people, not only to just brag about your newly acquired Android skills, but also to share it as a community, to share your creations. And that's something that you should be proud of. Also, at the end, as a reward of your accomplishments, to reward your accomplishments, you're going to be able to get a certificate of completion that you can then hang up on the wall. Let it collect dust in there. Now, just kidding. You can actually grab that and put it like on your LinkedIn. Show that that you have the required skills. So you should be able to do that. And then let me show you what it looks like. Liz, I took yours as an example. So you see, congrats, Elizabeth, for signed and verified by Jim Kim. So that is kind of like a certificate that you would be able to exactly, yeah, exactly, to the I love me wall. That's right, Paul, thank you. So yeah, that's gonna be to my in my next wall, in my, how already I have the space in my wall to hang it up in there. But no, this is something that you should be proud of, something that you should be, brag about it, put it in your social media to, to show that you do have the chops. So go for those certificates of completion, because they're gonna, give you a boost. So that would be great. So we're also going to be dropping the two code labs that were meant for tonight's session. So session 2 is going to be dealing with navigation and activity and fragments. So we're going to be talking a little bit like a summary of what this session entails, which is navigation, activity, and fragment. Those of you who do not have any experience on, what the navigation entails in Android, or activities and fragments, we're going to be discussing some of that, but also we will be showing you in the code labs as well. Again, so like I mentioned, we have 4 sessions, each one spanning a week. So we're like every like a week events every Monday, usually from 7 to 9. And tonight we're going to be discussing, like I said, activity fragment basics. Make sure to sign up for the next upcoming 2 events, live date and view model. That is next Monday. And then we have on October 11th, which is the last one, databases and design. So make sure to sign up for those upcoming sessions, because even though they may not be dependent on one another, they kind of build up on one another as well. And it's great that you actually have that, a sequence of sessions. And at the end, you're gonna be more confident as an Android developer. You're gonna walk out with the knowledge required to even start publishing your own applications. So I totally encourage you to sign up for the next 2 events. You're gonna have a blast. Nav is gonna be there in next week, and other folks are gonna be providing their great expertise. So again, some logistics, some housekeeping that we need to do, of course, at every event. We just wanted to ask that everybody here, again, be nice to each other, be excellent to each other, treat everybody with respect, and just let's have a nice time. We're all professionals, we're all adults. We just want to make sure that everybody has a great time. We support one another, we elevate one another. Speak up if you see or hear anything. If you see anybody, try to, Zoom bombing us or something, please report it. The team is there on deck to also, manage the situation, and also to coordinate and kind of coordinate all those things in there. But we're trying to make sure that you have a great time, that you feel comfortable. Again, we're in family, a great Android family. So please, actually, there's the community guidelines if you want to read them, but just wanted to get that out of the way. Again, the plan is for the next 90 minutes, we're gonna have this session. You're gonna work at your own pace. You can, I can even, shut up and let you do your work, but at least we're here. The reason why we're gathering together here is so that you can take advantage of us, so that we can help you move along. And if you face any issues during your completion of the code labs, then you can immediately ask us, and then in real time, we should be able to help you. That's the full path, again, for all the study jams. Like I completed like most of them almost. So the same thing goes for you guys. So you should just continue completing them all, or getting all your badges. Actually, it's a great feeling when you get some of those badges. So that's great. Again, the session will end with a door prize, and tonight's prize will be a Google Nest Mini. Last week we raffled a Chromecast. Tonight is going to be a Google Nest Mini. Which is great because you can even use it for like development, enhance your Android applications to build like maybe a Google Assistant applications and stuff like that, or even use it for personal reasons. But at the end of the last session, you can work your way towards a Google Pixel Bud. So that would be a great gift right there. So please stay tuned all the way throughout the session, all the way at the end. We're going to be dropping, actually, maybe the team can drop the link to the raffle. Put your name in there, put your email in there. At the end of the session, we will be able to raffle it. We'll call out your name, and then we'll reach out to you. Perfect. Again, some last announcements. Use the Slack team, like I mentioned. Also, find us on Twitter at Boston Android. Please follow us in there. Again, when you follow us, you are in touch with us, and then you get the latest information on what are the some of the events that you really want to get from Android. So please follow us on Twitter. You get the latest events. Make sure to sign up for the next events that are coming up, and you're gonna have a blast. That's all I can say. Also, for celebrating your accomplishments, just in Twitter, you just tag GDG and share what you've learned using hashtag Android Study Jams. So again, thank you for the team in dropping the links in the chat. And again, let's start. But before we even start, I just wanted to have like a quick ice breaking activity. I know some of you are already laughing because you know me, some of my events, some of the workshops that I do, I try to make it very dynamic and very interactive. So I want to do a quick Android trivia. How well do you know Android? Right before we start, I wanted to, get our developer juices going, and I wanted to see how well do you know Android. Again, it's totally optional to join, but I would invite you to join me at slido.com with the code 009062. I'm going to drop here the link, slido.com, and then you do the code 009062. Thank you, Linda. Wow, you're the best, Linda. Thank you so much. So please join me at slido.com with the code 009062. We're gonna do like some interactive. There you go. So you're gonna join me in this interactive session. I'm gonna be questioning your knowledge on Android. See how far back you go. I go back from when probably like way behind like a hunt. I know that I did like KitKat. I did, of course, KitKat. I did Honeycomb. I was doing like a bunch of things. Again, not like some of you who are like great, amazing at developing an Android, and you've been coming from way back and have gone through all the series. Also, I want to know how much you know your desserts. So stay tuned. So I'm just gonna give you one more minute so that you can join this interactive session where I'm gonna be quizzing you on your knowledge on Android, and let's see how it goes. Again, if you win at the end, let's say we're gonna see the leaderboard. This doesn't it doesn't mean like, oh, because you lost or whatever, you're not gonna get into the raffle. This is totally different. This is just
Roman,
go ahead, go ahead.
Michael suggested, let's see who can Google the fastest.
Yeah, exactly. That's Michael. Exactly.
Next.
I'm gonna give you a chance to Google every answer. I'll try to see. I'm sorry. I'm gonna see how fast I can pass it, so you don't cheat. So let's see who Google's faster. Thank you. That was actually let me just. That was awesome. Thank you, Michael. So okay, I think I'm just gonna give you like 30 more seconds so that we can proceed. Yes, please join. You're gonna have a lot of fun. I just want to see how you are on your desserts, how well you are on Android, as again like a warm up activity before we start. So I think we should be good. Let's start. I mean, you guys can join along the way, but let's start right away. So I have 18 people already, and I think that I mean, anybody else wants to join, I'll give you 30 more seconds. Because again, we need to move along, but I don't want to rush you either. But at least I wanted to make this very interactive and bring everybody together. Great. I know I see a lot of people already having their another laptop on the side, ready to Google it. That's right. Awesome. Okay, so let's start. I'm gonna go to the first question. Android or Android 8. Android 8 starts with an O. Is called Oreo, orange jelly, or oatmeal cookie. So Android 8 or the O, Android version O, is called Oreo, orange jelly, or oatmeal cookie. Try and let's see. A lot of people are saying Oreo. Nobody said orange jelly. Let's go and let's see what the right answer is. So it's Oreo, Oreo. Android 8 is Oreo. Great. So you know your desserts. Next one. Android 9 P, version P, is called peanut butter cookie, peppermint stick, or pie. What did you think? Is peanut butter cookie, peppermint stick, or Pi? Okay. So
Who
people are
choose all
saying,
these answers? I want to know.
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. I mean, you can
Who
try anything,
choose?
Linda. I mean,
Did
it's
you
like,
did,
you want to try which is,
no,
I
I'm
mean,
saying, did you propose these answers?
oh
They're so
yes,
funny.
yes. Yeah, you kind of know me already. So anyway, so let's see what the right answer is. The right answer is Pi. Exactly. Android 9 version P is called Android Pi. That's the code name. Next one, Android 10. Hear this out and check this one. Android 10, which is version Q, is called Quesadilla, Quid Start, or just Android Q because they stopped doing dessert names from this version and on. So which one is it? Is it Quesadilla? Is it Quint Start? Or just Android Q because they dropped the dessert names after Q? If that is true, that sucks. But I mean, let's see what it
No more
is.
dessert. Oh
No more
man.
desserts. And the right answer is both. It's true, it is Android Q, but the community, they wanted to continue doing the names of the desserts, so they named it themselves Queen Start. So again, people wanted to continue with the dessert names. That's why they went this way. But it is Android Q, no code name. But the community, the Android community, was so fond of the dessert names that they wanted to name it Queen Start. Same thing happened with Android 11. Android 11 version R is called rum cake, red velvet cake, or red bean cake. Which one do you think it is? Take a shot at either rum cake, and all of these is just making me hungry. So as like after here, I'm gonna have probably like a glass of milk with one of these, either one of these cakes. So yes, so Android 11 is called Red Velvet Cake. Thank you, Roland. That's right. So yeah, Android 11 R is called Red Velvet Cake. But now check this out. We even have two more versions that are like very recent, and this is Android 12 and Android 13. Now let's try your luck on Android 12. Android 12 S is called the code name Snow Cone, S'mores Cookies, or Strawberry Shortcake. What do you think? Whoa. A lot of people are like debating. Okay, which one is it? Is it a snow cone, s'mores?
I like the s'mores. Can I
I
choose?
like the s'mores too. I'm like, man, with the winter, doing like s'mores and outside, with the marshmallows and whatnot. Okay, so the right answer is snow cone. That's how the community have dubbed Android 12 or version S. And the last one on the Android desserts is Android 13, which is right now like the very latest. So it's version T. So Android 13 is called Tipsy Cake, Tiramisu, or Tea Loaf. Again,
I vote
and
for tiramisu because it's Italian. So
tiramisu is Italian. I love it. Every time I go to Olive Garden, I get the tiramisu. So the version is tiramisu. You were right, Linda. That's correct.
yeah.
That
So
is the answer. Great. Now, why? Okay, I thought I had two more for some reason. Okay, they didn't make it. But anyway, the leaderboard was someone from Somerville. That was the person who won. So thank you very much again, everyone, for joining this very interactive session. We see how the knowledge is on the versions of Android and whatnot. I think I had a couple more questions in there. I don't know why they didn't make it. But anyway, thank you so much for joining. These are the kind of activities that we want to do to make it more interactive and more engaging. We want to bring people together. So thank you so much, guys. Oh, see, there you go. I had two more. That's why. See, I'm not done yet. I had two more. There you go. What do you think about these questions? When did Android come out in the US? That was the two more questions that I have, and those were proposed by Liz. So now try to see if you can beat her at this. So when did the Android come out in the US? 2005, 2008, or 2010? Some
not
people,
beat Liz, die.
some people are googling. Some people are googling. 2008. That is correct. 2008. That's awesome. I even remember having like my first Android device back then, and they were like pretty expensive. You see, the next one, the last one now is the first iPhone from Apple. Of course, everybody knows it came out in June of 2007. But which company made the first Android phone? Was it Google, HTC, or Motorola? Google, HTC, or Motorola? Try your luck. Which one of those three? I see a lot of people doing HTC, some people Motorola, Google, HTC. There you go. Now I can say congratulations. Yeah, exactly, because that was the last one. Perfect.
Good
Okay.
job.
So yeah, again, plus ones to you guys. You guys did amazing. Thank you so much for doing that, and again for participating. Totally loved it. Now we can proceed. Okay, so what we're going to be talking during this session and the code labs that we're going to be dealing with are mostly about, again, the topics that they're mainly about. So, which is the code lab number 4, like batch number 4 is about all about like fragments. So some of you know already that fragments represents a behavior or just a portion of the user interface in an activity. Some people coming from other platforms, maybe like Flutter, you may think of as a widget, something that you can load inside, maybe inside an activity, something that can be reused across your application, and then you can just encapsulate some functionality and just make it into like a small component. So you can combine multiple fragments in a single activity to build a multi-pane UI. You could do that, of course. Again, like I mentioned, you can reuse a fragment in multiple activities. That is the beauty of the fragments, and you're going to be seeing that when we start one of the labs. What I love about fragments is that they have their own life cycle as well, and they do receive their own input events. So you can treat like a fragment again like a little type of activity where you do like all your own cycle events. You know, it has the own create view, it has the way that it gets destroyed and all that. So it has its own life cycle events and all that. You can add or remove fragments even when the activity is running. So you can make it very dynamically. You can like inject fragments wherever you need them, and like I said, you can place them in multiple places. Great thing, of course, is that a fragment is defined in a Kotlin class. You don't now have to say, oh, I have to be doing it. Let's say in a Java class. Now Kotlin has a support as well. And the fragments UI, whenever you're not using, let's say, Jetpack Compose, you can just define it the same way as an XML layout file. So it does accomplish that separation of concerns where you do have your UI defined as an XML layout, and then you have the class representing the logic for that fragment the same way as an activity. You have your own layout separate. You have, let's say, the business logic separate, and then you can just pair them up, and then you can do it like that, just like you do activities. So fragments are a great way for you to encapsulate logic, reuse it across your application, and make your application more decoupled and, let's say, compartmentalized and modular. So that's pretty cool. Navigation. The navigation in Android, the navigation component is a library that can manage complex navigation. You do also the transition animation, deep linking. I like the way that Android does it right now, that it can even gives you like a WYSIWYG on you to do like the, let's say, established navigation between activities and whatnot. You can also do compile time checked argument passing between screens. And the way that I'm actually running the latest version of Android, Android Arctic Fox. So it's pretty cool. It gives you like all these great features that allow you to make navigation very easy. Also, the nav host fragment. So navigation host fragment, again, fondly known as nav host fragment. It acts as a host for the fragments in a navigation graph. Think of it as, let's say, a viewport where the fragments get actually injected into that viewport, and then you can visualize that fragments in there, and they just get swapped as necessary. So as the user moves between destinations within the navigation graph, then the navigation host fragment is kind of like the viewport. You just swaps the fragments inside in and out as necessary. So it's pretty cool. And of course, Fragment also creates and manages the appropriate fragment backstack. So, long gone are the days where you had to do a lot of management of the main navigation stack of your activities and then the fragment navigation stack. So the navigation host fragment also in the fragment allows to create and manage the whole navigation stack on the fragment. So let's say you are in one single activity and then you have the navigation host fragment. You can hit the back button, and then that even performs the navigation stack swapping in place. So it makes it very convenient. So you guys are going to be able to see that in those code labs that you're seeing there. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, the life cycles in Android. Those of you who are starting to develop in Android, it is essential essential for you to know the life cycles of activities and fragments, because that way you know when you can actually, when you know that maybe your activities get either started, created, at which point you can start manipulating the elements of your activity, how you can find elements by an ID, when you know that those items are inflated. Remember the concept, like inflating views. So you need to make sure at which point in the life cycle they get inflated, they get destroyed, how you can access fragments within the activity, how, when, let's say when you move from the activity and then you go, you put it in the background, how it comes back again. All those events you want to capture them, and those are part of the life cycle events of your activities in Android. So if you see here, this is a small diagram showing you the arrow, the direction in which the whole life cycle of your activity occurs. So you start from initialized, then for example, the onCreate event, you can tap into that event and you can get information on that. That's when the initial, let's say, view gets inflated and mounted on the root. Then you have like the created, when you have the onStart, the restart, when the activity gets resumed or paused, when it either gets stopped or destroyed, and then that way you don't have that activity anymore. So the upcoming code labs are going to show you a lot of that, and we're going to go over some of those aspects as well. And of course, fragments, like I mentioned, they also have their own life cycle, pretty much similar to the way that the activity works. You also have like the initialized, and you see that it has like the onCreate, then it has the onCreate view and whatnot. It kind of follows the same kind of like life cycle as the activities, and all of those things are incorporated in and explained in the code labs that the team has dropped in there, so that you can continue your knowledge on that. It is very important to know the life cycle of the fragments, because that way you know, again, like I mentioned on the fragment host, on the navigation host fragment, how they get swapped, when they get removed, when they get injected again, and so on. Also, in some of the labs, you're also going to be learning how to do some basic logging using even the default Android login API. You just do like log.i, and then you write like informational messages. It's just a way for you to write short messages that are displayed in the logcat. In Android Studio, you have that panel at the bottom where you can see like all your logs being output. So you could use, it's very easy to use, and it's part of the Android framework, so you don't have to like import any other libraries. But it's a little bit limited in the fact that you have to add a few parameters and whatnot. But in this particular case, at least, it gets the job done if you want to do like simple stuff. In this case, you add the tag and the message, and then that way it just gets printed out for you, and then you can do some debugging and whatnot. I'm going to show you a little bit of that in a minute. So that is the logging using the Android login API. Please, if you have any questions, you can drop them on the chat. Please take advantage of the experts that are on deck. They can answer some of your questions. I can jump in one of those questions if I need to answer it. So please make sure that if you have any questions, let us know. We should be able to answer those for you. Now, as an alternative to the Android login API, you have something called Timber, which is a very popular logging library, and it has several advantages over the built-in Android log class, because it simplifies the way that you do logging. It helps you avoid showing logs in a release version. Imagine, let's say you have like a bunch of logs in your app, but then you publish it already to production, and then you already have like those outputs already coming out in your production. Logging levels, let's say for Timber allows you to do like in this particular case, like it already knows that it helps you avoid like those outputs in production, but it allows you to do like integration with some of those crash reporting libraries, but at least it lets you like just write also like simple log messages, kind of like the way that the default Android login API does. And then all you have to do is just provide the message. Why? Because when you will see it in a minute. Actually, you can even take a look at in the code labs. You can just when you make it part of the class and you make it so that it implements that like the class implements like the Timber, it uses that existing class like the existing class to actually log it against that. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, I definitely yeah, thank you. Elizabeth is answering some of the questions in there. Yeah, exactly. The method itself provides you that because you do like information, warning, you do this, you do that, and then it provides you with a very comprehensive API so that you can provide logs in a very systematic way. Save arcs. Yeah, I know a lot of people are fan of the save arcs. Why? Because that simplifies how you actually, avoid any errors, and you can catch errors when you're, let's say, passing data from one fragment to another. And save arcs allows you to do that because it allows for you to kind of like strongly type like those parameters, how you communicate between fragments and pass information back and forth. So you see, for each fragment in your app, the Save Arcs plugin, because you need to actually install it as part of the the Gradle plugin. You can just add the nav direction class to the fragment code. Then you can use the class to pass the parameters between the fragments, and it just represents pretty much what it does. It just represents the navigation from all the app's actions. It's very easy to use, very easy to integrate. I definitely encourage you to do so in the labs. If you have not done so, like some of those labs, you will be able to encounter those in there as well. Implicit intents. So in one of the labs, they discuss what implicit intents are. You know exactly. Everybody knows who has worked on Android already knows what an intent is. It's some sort of like a message object that represents kind of like an operation that your activity wants maybe another application or another part of your application to perform on your behalf. So and then you have multiple types of intents. You have implicit intents. You have explicit intents, and some of those labs are going to be talking a lot on they're going to be dealing a lot on implicit intents. And then here what they mention about like implicit intents is those type of intents that declare an action that your app wants some other app. Let's say, for example, you want to do something with a camera, or you want to do something with an email application. You want to send an email, so it performs that action on their behalf. And the way that it does it, it just passes that intent, and it passes, that information, so that it shows you either a chooser, so that the right application takes the correct action, as opposed to you knowing what the capabilities of that application are. You just emit the intent, and the right application responds to it, given given that that application knows how to handle that intent. Like, okay, let's say, an email send, like send an email and stuff like that. And of course, other type of intents, like I mentioned, you have the explicit intents. Those the opposite of the implicit, because that this way is more like inner application communication. For example, which plugin knows how to handle that intent, and in explicit intents, your application knows exactly which other class, which other package that it has embedded knows how to handle that intent. Also, you have, of course, like pending intent. You have extras. I know Elizabeth is a fan of extras because, again, you pass kind of like key value pairs, kind of like metadata information that you pass, as part of your intent, so that it knows how to complete that action better. So you pass like some additional metadata using like put extras, get extras, and whatnot. And then you can consume that on the other side, and then you can pull that information and perform, let's say, your action in a better way. I love the question, so please keep them coming, guys. This session is for you, and we want you to be part of the experience as well. Perfect. Okay, so now I'm just gonna pop out of this presentation, and then I'm gonna walk through a little bit of one of the code labs. So now we are into the coding phase of this session. So I'm gonna go. I believe in here in the presentation, we provided some of those code labs and some of those links. Please make sure to grab those. I'm going to go and do, for example, like the navigation one. I'm going to go to this particular link, and here you go. So you see, there you go. I completed it, and I have my badge. So I hope you guys also either have completed it. Let's say you did it on your own. How did it go with homework, friends? Yes, exactly. Elizabeth is asking, how's homework? How did you guys do? I want to see, again, those badges, those +1s, thumbs up, making sure that you guys actually completed. And again, if not, it's okay. You still have time to do it. You can do them on your own. Just find that time to get that badge. Make sure that you complete all those badges so that you can get your certificate at the end. But these are really like short, very easy to digest collabs. Roland is up to the dice roller. I love that one. I did the. I'm gonna be doing here like the trivia one. Again, talk about trivia that we did on Android. You're gonna get a lot more trivia on that application as well. So I love this one. So I'm gonna start. Yes, exactly. Please make sure. Yes. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you so much. See, I love the support that the team is providing in the chat. Please drop your questions in there. There's the link for this lab that I have right in front of you. So this is dealing with navigation. We're going to be talking about fragments, how to define navigation paths and all that. So I'm going to start. And again, don't be fret because I may not complete it fully. Here is just more about community building. I want you to bring you into the experience. I want to show you how to do it and how easy it is to tackle so that you can do it on your own and get that badge and get that certificate of completion. So let's up to lemonade stand. Oh, I like that one too. Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of, you see, I told you there's a bunch of applications that you can build just by going with the collabs, and you get a lot of ideas on your own. So let me start. So we're gonna start with step number one of the collab, which is creating a fragment. Remember, we mentioned a fragment is like a portion, like a small activity kind of. It's like a portion of your application that you can reuse, kind of like a widget. So to speak. So I'm going to go to the Colab, and then if you see, I'm going to start at the beginning actually, and you see the Colab already gives you the GitHub repo, where to download that. So I hope that a lot of people, either you can follow along, ask questions to Nav, Elizabeth, Jin is there. You can ask questions to the team if you're stuck on anything. But I'm just going to go over again, like how I went over this lab and how I completed it. So let's do this. So you see, you get like the introduction to the Colab. You're going to learn how to create a fragment. It's going to be amazing. Let me show you. So this is what we're building. Remember, I told you it's a trivia, and that's exactly why I had the trivia beginning, to kind of get you going, with the trivia theme session. So there you go. So we're going to do like an Android trivia application. We're going to be adding fragments. We're going to be using the nav host frame fragment, and you're going to see how that is implemented. If you just continue scrolling down the page, you would be able to see how it's implemented and how they're describing how to do it. So I go to the next step, and then we start with the starter app project. I already downloaded it for you to save you the trouble, but anyway, here it is. This is the GitHub repo where all these starter projects are. You can just download it as a zip. You can clone it if you want. I just downloaded it already, and then I have it here in a folder called Files. And I'm just going to unzip it right now, and then we're going to go into that folder. So everybody knows, let's say you're in Android, and then you can, let's say once you download the whole zip folder from GitHub, then now you can find that particular package that represents the Android Trivia Starter. Remember that one, Android Trivia Starter. So I'm going to bring my version of Android Studio, and I'm going to navigate to that project. So you can do the same thing. I see a lot of people in there also doing their thing. So kudos to you guys. So you can just do you can do not new project. I'm sorry. You can do open, and then you find that project that I have already in my desktop for you guys. Let me just find it here, and I'll navigate to the Android Trivia Starter right here. And then I'll just open, and there it is. So it's going to open the project. I'm just going to move this over here for this to open. I think I even tried to make the code a little larger for you guys. Some of you who want to see maybe a little better. I can increase the font size so that you guys can see it better. I can remember in Android Studio, you can either switch like the view, how the project gets loaded, whether you do like the module version or you just do the project file version or packages, whatever have you, whatever makes you feel more comfortable, you load that version. Remember last week, Liz was showing like, again, Android Studio, she was walking over some of those. So for example, you could do like packages, or you could do the project itself like that. So you can either, pick your poison, whatever works for you, that's the one that you can stick with. And there it is. So the application is loaded. This is the basic application. You can see, for example, here, like already some, some starting pieces that I have in there, and then you can see that. I know that a lot of you are either fans of Genymotion as an emulator. You can either use the embedded emulator. I'm using my physical device, and I can even bring it over to the side. I'm using a tool called Visor, and then Visor allows you to connect a physical device to your computer, and then you're able to push the updates into your physical device. I'm going to show you right here. So this is my physical device, which I'm projecting on the screen so that you guys can do that. So I suggest you guys use Visor if you have a physical device. But thank you, Nav. Again, see Nav on deck, supporting us. So there you go. You can do Visor.io. You can drop that, do that one. You can do, again, the embedded one, of course. You can do whatever you want. Whatever, again, makes you productive. That is what you need to pick. So let's proceed. I'm already in step number 3, and then I'm going to go step by step. So step number 3, it shows you like, okay, let's go to the main activity. So if I double click on the main activity, thank you, Nav. Yeah, I was talking about Jenny Mobile, which is that is a great option for you to do that. Can you guys see well the code? I made it larger again because I picked it up from some of you guys last week where you were complaining on the size of the code.
It's good.
That the code looks good, perfect, great. Thank you, everyone. Okay, great. Let's continue. So you see, this is the main activity. I'm already doing Kotlin, so you should see like even the to-dos, and you just follow along. Perfect. So we're going to be opening let's say the layout of this application. So it's right here on the res folder, and if you go to the layout, you can actually see the activity main, which is the main layout. Remember, we were talking about layouts, we were talking about activity main, and then you have resource files for each one of your fragments and your activity. So you can do it like that. Perfect. So you can even see, for example, here, the component tree. In step number 3, they mentioned the component tree. So in the component tree, you can see like the linear layout, which is a linear layout. Remember, the linear layout is kind of like in Flutter, kind of like columns or rows. So linear layout allows you to align your components, your fragments, and your widgets in a either horizontal or vertical fashion. So you use linear layout a lot for laying out. So I'm on step number 4 now. For those of you who are following along, step number 4, we're going to add a fragment. How do you add a fragment to an activity? I mean, how do you do that? This is how you do it. So remember, we talked about fragment, that it represents a behavior or just a portion of your application, of your user interface. And you can just inject it into other activities and whatnot. So the way that you do it is, you first create a blank you create a blank file for this fragment that we're going to be creating. So you can go here into the folder where you have like all the other classes. So the way that you do it, you right click on the folder where your other classes are, and you can just right click. This is how you create a fragment. You can just click new, and then if you say fragment here, it tells you, for example, like if you want to do a fragment, a blank fragment, a fragment list or whatnot. In this case, we're going to go with fragment blank. So we're going to creating it completely blank. So you create fragment blank. It gives you the option to add the name of the fragment. In our case, the name is title fragment. This is how you create a fragment. Remember, file, new fragment, if I know how to type. So create fragment. It already gives you the option on how to create that layout name for that. In this particular case, it gives you an option. Like right now, you can leave it like that, but if you follow along is better. So you call it placeholder layout. That is going to be that XML file that is going to be created corresponding to that fragment, and it's going to hook it up for you. So for that layout name, you call it placeholder layout. Then the source language, we're sticking with Kotlin, and then you can just hit finish. After that, it does a little bit of spinning, and then you see your new fragment in here. And then if you go to the layout, you will see that placeholder layout. I didn't have to create it. It got created for me. Remember, during that, when we were creating the fragment, and I named the layout. So it created it for me. That was pretty cool. Now you open that file, the tile fragment.tk, and then you get like a bunch of some boilerplate code that you can just get rid of, and then you can create it. You can create your own. So the way that you do it is, you open the KT file, which is the Kotlin file, and then you can start. You can see, for example, like some of the already the default methods that are available there, like the on create view. You have this companion object and all that. For the case of this for this code lab, is gonna ask you to like get rid of all of that. So I'm gonna copy the code that is in there, and I'm going to replace everything that I have here because I don't need any of these. So I'm just going to replace all that by this code, which gives me, again, the class, the title fragment class, which extends fragments. It gives me that main method called onCreateView. This is the one that gets created when the fragment gets mounted and then is about to be rendered and inflated. So you will see that in a minute. So I'm still on step 4. You should be able to see that. Now we create, so here they say, okay, you create a binding object. So a binding object will allow you, for example, like to be able to inflate your views, and you start like pulling information so that you can now start rendering your fragment. So now in the onCreate view, you're gonna be utilizing, for example, like the inflator. You're gonna be using. Let me actually just move this over here so you can see a little bit more. And then, for example, you're going to be able to see, let me just bring this over so you can see it. So you're going to be able to use all those parameters, and then you'll be using that binding object. So the binding object allows you to use the inflator, pull the layout, and then you're going to be rendering that fragment. So in the code in there, I'm just going to copy it over so you can see it. Inside of my onCreate view, I'm just going to paste the code right here so you guys can see it. And you see how it gets created. All of these, then you can just import it. Some of you know how to import it. You can either do Alt Enter, and then that kind of imports it for you. You can just either hover over on that dependency that is giving you that squiggly or that red alert, and you can just import it right away. So let me just go over the code one more time. So the onCreateView is the main method in the fragment, so that you use to inflate the layout of that fragment, and then you just return the root of that binding, so that get actually appended, and then you should be able to see it. And now let's go to the layout, because now that we know that our class, our title fragment application knows how to pull the layout, now we want to be able to modify the layout so we can see stuff in there. So you can double click. Now I'm still in the bottom part of step 4 on that on the create a fragment code lab. And then we're going to go to the layout. See here, the layout, you can see, you can either zoom in, you can do like, if you're on a Mac, you can do like Command Plus and you can zoom in. You can use the mouse wheel to zoom in and out, and then you can have better visibility of your surroundings, of your environment. So here it gives you this view. I'm in the design view, but if you're old school like me, like Nav, like Elizabeth, we like to do the code, and then we can code it in there. But if you're starting, you should be good to either do like split, or you start on the design, and then that way you get more familiar with how things get generated. You will see the code being generated, but this is the best way to do it. So now inside of that layout, this is what the layout looks like. You see it says hello blank fragment, so you can just keep that like that. Now let's add this fragment to the main layout file. Now what you do is we're going to add the title fragment to the main activity app. So then you go to the main activity XML, and you see there's nothing in here. And even if I go to the code and then I scroll down, you see they're already giving me the to-do. So if I just remove the to-do, all I have left is just the linear layout. Remember, the linear layout allows me to align the widgets and the components in a vertical or horizontal fashion. How do you know whether this is vertical or horizontal? By this property right here. This is saying, let me lay it out in a vertical fashion. So now what we're going to do is add the fragment. How do you add the fragment? The way that you do is you actually bring the fragment tag. So remember, we're still dealing with XML layouts. So that's how you do it. So I'm going to just copy the code. I'm going to be bringing the code that is at the bottom of step 4. And then I'm just going to replace this. And you see that the linear layout is empty, but now you will see the linear layout with the fragment. This is how you add a fragment in Android by using the fragment tag. You add an ID because that's how you're going to refer to it in code, and you're going to be able to call it and invoke it from the system. You have a name. The name is the class that actually is kind of like the code behind of the fragment, which is the title fragment, that Kotlin file that we created a while back. You use the layout width and layout height to actually match the parent. These are some of the properties that allow you to make it so that it stretches with the parent container. So it says match parent. So that way it will stretch and then it will occupy the container, the parent container. So if you keep scrolling down, now we will see, let's say, how this looks like. So if I save this, we have some, some of the basic layout in there. I can even use, for example, like this particular one. Actually, you can grab like another type of fragment, like one of the ones that are here, like the fragment title, to add like that, the fragment in there. Let's say in the main activity, like right here. It doesn't have to be like the one that is pointing to the title, or in this particular case is using the title fragment, the one that we mentioned, remember. But how do you know which is the fragment that this is using? It's not using the placeholder layout, because this is clean. This has nothing. If you go back to the class when I copy pasted it earlier, maybe you didn't notice this part right here. This is the layout that I'm pointing to that will be actually inflated in that activity. In this case, it's not the placeholder layout. It's a fragment title. If you see it in there, is right here. It's called fragment title, and it's gonna look like this. So it's not the one that I created. Later we're gonna change that, but for now you're gonna see that when I run the application on my phone. So now that I have in my main activity the fragment already loaded, let's see how that works. You see here, for example, that my device is already connected, so it already identifies it. I already have all the drivers and all that. So without further ado, let's just hit it. Let's hit run app. We should be able to see it being loaded on my phone in a minute. With that, I'm just gonna give you like just a tiny break, just to, if you have any questions, anybody has a question for me, for the team, or anybody wants to say anything, please free to do so.
Maybe it's a good time to open it up. We'll put the attendees into a mode where they can turn on their camera and use the microphone too.
Please feel free to do so. Yeah, we want people to interact, ask us questions, say something funny, whatever. Again, we're here to collaborate, to have fun. Don't forget to have fun while you're coding and while you're developing, because it kind of lifts up your spirits, and your many YouTubers are using Jetpack right now. It's still okay to use XML. That's a very good question. I have the team in there on queue. They can answer that question. Personally, I'm gonna give you my answer. Let's say, for example, like I used to develop Android applications, a lot with XMLs. I know the trend is moving into declarative UIs. For example, like using, Jetpack Compose. Flutter uses declarative UI development. Swift UI is also moving that direction. XML is not going anywhere. The XML layout is not going anywhere. Jetpack is just another alternative for you to develop your applications in a more declarative way. But still, of course, there's going to be a lot of support of legacy applications, and also you pick your poison, like whatever you feel more comfortable with. I'm more of like the declarative type now. I used to do a lot of XML, but I kind of find that doing that kind of like state machine type of deal, passing the state in my application and the application doing it in a declarative way, I kind of tell my application what it wanted to look like, as opposed to tell the application what to do, is the way that kind of like things are moving. And like you said, a lot of YouTubers are using Jetpack, but that doesn't mean that XML is going away anytime soon. Visor, Samina, thank you so very much for your question. Visor, I have it right here. Visor is nothing more than like it's VirtualBox for your iPhone, for your Android phone. It's just like projecting my screen, my physical screen. See, for example, like I'm touching my phone, I'm doing all of this. Visor is free. You can even use it for your iPhone, for your Android. You can use it for multiple types of devices, and you can just mirror your device as you're developing. I find that the developing on the hardware is a lot quicker than the emulator. Some of you debate me if you want to, but I like to use the physical device. Another reason why, because your users are not going to be running emulators. Your users are going to be running on devices. So you need to test it on your devices early on. Of course, the emulator, you can afford, let's say, a $50 Android phone, like a low-end phone. Okay, definitely use the emulator. But Visor gives you that capability. If you already have a device, you're already, one step ahead because you're doing it on the phone. Drop your questions. Thank you very much. Yes, my design didn't look as nice as the tutorials. Roland, yes, at the Zoom, you can just do that perfectly. Any other questions, please drop it in the chat. I love the questions, guys. Thank you. There you go. You see, like it's already loaded on my phone. There you go. See, right? I'm ready to ship it now. Who wants to download it? Give me stars on this, super duper amazing app. One single screen. Next question from Rajesh. Rajeshwari, thank you very much for joining. Does the Colabs teach how to use Jetpack too? Not these precise Colabs. Down the road, we're gonna have a couple of things on Jetpack. Maybe the team might be able to chime in on that. But yes, we will be having some Jetpack. Thank you. And yeah, Nav just mentioned right there, of course. Thank you. Nav already even supported my point that, again, XML is not going anytime, but Jetpack is kind of like the way that a lot of the other guys are going, with declarative UI. So thank you so much for your questions. And thank you for joining. Thank you. Good luck later on Google Nest Mini. Make sure to join the raffle later. Great. So let me continue. I already have the fragment. You already know how to load the fragment. Let's proceed. So now I'm on step 5, where they give you like the whole solution. So you can just check, for example, like the latest version, blah, 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 and all that, and it's already loaded for you. We're in the summary. So if anybody already got to this point, congratulations. You already went through the first code lab. This was it. You see how easy it is? You can just, you could have done it with me because I'm talking too much. So you could have done it with me and finish it. So see, yes, please fill the raffle form. Make sure that you do these code labs on your home. You can even take like a minute. Don't tell your boss. You can just take a little bit of, the time during work, and you can just do a little bit of, this code lab, because they're like so quick to do and so fun. So please do that. And yes, Elizabeth is just mentioning right there that, of course, we're going to be doing the Modern Android Programming Study Jam, and then we're going to be doing Jetpack Compose down the line. None of these code labs do it, but down the line, we're definitely going to be doing those. So thank you very much, team, for chiming in. And then that was a fragment. That's it. Very simple. You can learn more. You can just go over, and there's a little bit of homework in there, and then they point you to the next code lab. So yeah, I mean, I can start now a little bit on the next code lab just so that you guys can see it. See, like I was able to just finish it just by me just, playing around there. But please make sure to fill out the form. At the end of the session, you're going to be able to win some cool raffle items. Door prizes, like Elizabeth calls it, because they're going to arrive right at your house. Great. So anything else from anybody from the team? Anything to chime in? I can just play a little bit with the next code lab, because you see how fun they are to do, and very, very easy. Yeah, Elizabeth just dropped the next code lab, which is activity and fragments. So the first one we did just like a simple fragment that we added. Now we're actually getting into the meat of that piece, where we're going to be dealing like with those items. You can do that again. Continue finishing like all the other code labs. You can continue that, but this activity and fragment ones is something that I wanted to show. I'm just going to go over the code lab real quick, because I wanted to give you a time to kind of experiment and whatnot. But you see how fast it was. You can do code labs right away. I only did just one step on one code lab, but you can do all of them in a matter of over a cup of coffee, because they're very easy. They're very easy to digest, so you can do that. For example, like this one in particular, I can even show you the one that I did where it's actually like the whole application already completed. But I like to do just completing the collabs and whatnot and doing all of that. So I definitely have a lot of fun doing this. So you see, the next one is for the defining the navigation paths. I can show you a little bit of that. And this one is the one that deals with, again, like how to bring like the more of the fragment and now bringing some of the other pieces together. So this is the one for the kind of like bringing the navigation graph. I'm just going to show you because we got to be conscious of the time. It's 8:32. We just wanted to give time for the raffle, but at least I'm just going to go over the one of my favorite pieces, which is the navigation drawer, the navigation host fragment. Remember, we talked about the navigation host fragment, which is that viewport that allows you to swap fragments on demand as you see fit. So I'm just going to go over that because I love it so much. Remember, we talked about that you need to bring some of those aspects of the navigation via a Gradle plugin, and then you have to add some in the build Gradle. Let me just show you that piece real quick. So the way that you do it is, remember Liz was showing last week where she was showing like how you find like the Gradles. You have like multiple Gradles. And I love this view, like the module view, because it allows you to see, instead of hunting all the Gradles, they're all here in one single spot. And then here it gives you like, this is the module, this is the project one. So the one that you want to go for is the one that was the project one. So the project one is the build Gradle up top. And then here's where you define like all the versions and whatnot. And then you can just add it there. You just have to find the spot where you can just do like the add the ext. You have to find like the ext ones here. Here they are. The other like some of those extension, some of those other Android extension like plugins that you can bring in. And then here, all you have to do at the end to enable the navigation, like the nav host fragment and whatnot, you have to bring the navigation. You have to say navigation version, and you have to increase it. In this particular case, they're using the 2.3.0. You need to have that particular one in order to do that. Now you save this Gradle, and then you do the module one now. So you go to the module one now. You go all the way down to the dependencies. Are we skipping 3.2, define navigation paths? Oh, the define navigation paths. That's the one that I'm doing, actually. Yeah, define navigation paths. I was just saying, see, this is the one that I'm doing. Define navigation paths. So Rajesh, good. I was just making sure that you were paying attention. So you're actually paying attention. So that's the one that I'm doing. I just said like, oh, you can skip to the next one if you're already, if you're good with this one. It's just that I'm just going over, watching, people's time, being conscious of the time. And again, it doesn't matter that we don't finish it today. It's just so that you know how to crank through those labs, get your badges, get your certification, your certificate of completion. Sorry. So again, this is the one that we're doing, the define navigation path. So I'm just gonna go over that piece right there, and then after that, we're gonna wrap up and do the raffle. So, and definitely truly appreciate everybody joining, sticking with us. So I'm going to continue, like I mentioned. I'm installing again the dependencies that I need for that. So what you need to do is add some of those, Android X navigation pieces that you need to have in here. So the way that you will kind of like incorporate those changes is just by bringing the Android X navigation, and this is the one that has the navigation fragment. Remember, it uses the navigation version, the 2.3.0. It brings it in here, and then it installs that version of the navigation of the nav host fragment. So make sure that you don't forget this piece. After you do that, of course, then you can proceed and add a navigation graph to your project. Remember, the navigation graph is what allows you to establish those connections between activities, and allows you to, in a very seamless and like WYSIWYG type of way, define the navigation paths between your activities. So it's pretty cool. So the same thing in the project pane, you can just come over here, and right here, like you can even do it in the actually in the rest folder. So it tells you, go to the Android pane, go to the rest folder. And then, for example, here it says, okay, right click on the rest folder, and then you say new Android resource file. You find the resource file. The name that you call it, you can just call it navigation. The type of resource is not values, but it's navigation. So you see, I already have that capability available, like you see it right there. The source set is main, and the directory name is navigation. What will it do? What do you think it will do when I do this? You can just leave it like that and just hit, you could just do, for example, like out of the available qualifiers, chosen qualifiers, you could just leave it exactly like that. Just leave it empty and just hit OK. But what it will do, what I wanted to show you, is that it creates that navigation folder, and it creates another resource file for you, which is the navigation XML. This is where you define the navigation graph, and you will see it, how cool it does. So it's asking me for a project dependency. I'll click OK, because this is when it's actually bringing those dependency. There you go, it's loading those. Very cool. And then you're going to see how cool it is to actually define those navigation paths. It's very straightforward. And again, I am in lab number 2 of CodeLab 4, number 2 of CodeLab 4. Sorry about that. And then you see that navigation graph to the project, blah, blah, blah. Okay, perfect. So now when you see this, now you can even see, for example, like you can click that to add a new destination. You can click like this little icon right here to add a new destination. So the way that they do it, by the way, those of you who are following along, I'm now on step 4 of the define navigation paths CodeLab. And then this is now how you do it. So you could just leave it like that. That's how you do like those destinations. We're gonna do some destinations in a moment. In step number 4, we talk about the nav host fragment, how it acts as a host, like the viewport, like I mentioned, and whatnot. So here's where you define now. You replace the title fragment. Remember the one that we added in the library and in the main activity, and then we're gonna add that viewport, the navigation host fragment. So the way that you do it, let's go to the layout, activity main, and remember the activity main has the fragment, that title fragment hard-coded. Instead of hard-coding a fragment like that, what we're going to be doing is adding the navigation of host fragment. The way that you do it is just, you can just replace this fragment, or you can even type it out, but I don't want to, bore you with the details. Let me just copy paste it, replace that hard-coded fragment by this new fragment. And the way that you know that is the navigation fragment is because of this nav graph, and then it's pointing to that navigation fragment, which that resource file, that XML that represents all the navigation, where we're going to establish all those navigations. You have to have an ID, of course, just like any other fragment. You have to add a name because this represents the nav host fragment, and I believe we do have here in our classes. You see here like the nav host fragment is part of the framework, of course, so it gets brought over from Android X navigation fragment, and then it gets imported. We're matching and all that so that it stretches with the parent, let's say the main activity, and it takes the whole space. And you see this part right here, it says default nav host. That means it's going to be the default host for this page, and then it's going to be used again like the viewport, so that your fragments get injected in there. So it's pretty cool. Now I'm going to go to step 5. So in step 5 is where now I go to that navigation, to the navigation folder, and open up those resources. Here is now where I'm going to, you see that the fragment host is pointing to this resource, but this resource has nothing. Now is here where I'm going to define all my screens and the navigation graph, all the paths in between those. So here they say, okay, so now you add 2 fragments. So the way that you do it is you click where it says new destination. Right here, this little icon on the top left of this pane, you click where it says new destination. And then here you have a little preview, and you guys are, so privileged, because the latest version of Android and like these recent versions of Android give you this way to even visualize your fragments without first being rendered, right on the fly on this drop down. How cool is that? So check this out. So you find the one that says Fragment Title, you select it, and then you can just add it like that. You can just, let's say, Fragment Title, and then it just gets added right away. Now you know that your navigation graph, that resource that we have, at least has one screen to show. So there you go. And then now you select the title fragment. You can see it right there. You can immediately see the ID. You can see the label, you can see the name, all of that. Very cool. Now you add another destination, and then that's how you connect them. Let me show you. It's so fun. So if you click this one, a new destination, and then you find another one, I'm gonna do like game fragment. So you double click on that. You can just bring it over. Don't fret because you see where it says like preview available. That is because preview unavailable. That is because you need to set the preview unavailable in the resource file. This is how you do it. In code, in order to preview your layout in the navigation graph, you have to have this specific attribute called tools layout, and then that way you can see it. Let me show you how to do it. You can just say tools layout, and then you just mention the layout. The name of the layout in this case is fragment game. So if you just save that, come back over to the design view, and boom, there it is. Very cool. And you see how simple, in a very visual way, you can define your navigations, and you can define like all the things that you're going to see. How do you establish now navigations between screens, or in this particular case, fragments? Remember, we're still in the navigation host fragment. So it's one fragment that hosts other fragments, and then they navigate among themselves, back and forth, and managing the navigation stack within that little host. How do you do that? You connect them. As simple as that. And how do you do it? You add navigation paths, those kind of like links between them. So this is how you do it. You can just hover over the screen, which is the source screen, and then you hover over the right-hand side and you see the little circle. The way that you do it, you just connect then to the next screen that you want to navigate to next. All you do is just drag it over, hover over this navigation or over this other screen, in this particular case, this fragment, and you just drop it. And boom, the connection is already done. Now, how do you see now the properties of that connection, of that navigation? You can just select the little arrow like this. You can just, for example, like this is my thing, and then I can just select the arrow, and here you see the attributes of that arrow. The arrow is that navigation connection. So it already sets an ID for you. It says the destination, you see? So remember, we're talking about, let's see, the source and the destination. So the source is the Android trivia page, and the destination is the game fragment. Simple as that. Now you then add like click handlers, and you have to add ways. Exactly. Yeah, the text is, yeah, exactly. So it's very yeah, even this yeah, like this one, I think I'm pretty sure I can change the font size. I'll have to change like my resolution and whatnot, but at least I just wanted to show you, for example, like if I run the application right now, again, even the way that it is right now, of course we need to establish the click event to actually go there. I can do that like right now. So if I go to the title fragment, which is this guy, now I can establish here, let's say, the click event. You see this play button? Even though they are connected via that navigation graph, there's no way to actually traverse that navigation unless you actually invoke and trigger that connection, pretty much. So the way that you do it is like with a click event. So the way that you do it is that you actually implement like an on-click listener on that on the button inside of that inside of that fragment. So the way that you do it is you just have to say binding. Remember that we already have the layout fetched right here, and then you find that button, the play button. See, it already comes up for you. So if you do play button dot set on click listener, now I'm not going to bore you with the details. I'm just going to grab the code right here so we can just wrap this piece up. And let me just go over of the code right now. Again, I'm just sorry. Just Alt Enter, and there you go. So see, all we're doing here is just finding the navigation controller. Look how cool it is. This fragment already knows how to pull the navigation fragment that he lives in, and he's able to access it via the view. So you can just say, give me the navigation controller and navigate to the, let's say, the next fragment. In this particular case is already created for us, the game fragment. Remember, by you providing this ID, you're actually traversing that navigation connection that we created earlier. Let me show you how to do this. Now, after I save it, and Michael has a question in there, it says, do you have to worry about releasing resources loaded in the previous view? Yes, of course. You have to. That's why you have to be cautious about the the life cycle of the events. If you have any, and let's say you're doing, let's say, like an asynchronous call to a RESTful API in the previous screen, and then you're performing like a navigation to the next one, you need to make sure that you clean up those resources appropriately. So that's why you make sure to also tap into the available lifecycle events that you would do. And in this particular case, then if you say, okay, you wanna stop that thing before you proceed to the next one, and so on. So it's always good to tap into the lifecycle events of fragments and activities and whatnot. Great question. Again, the team is there on deck, ready to answer any of your questions. And now I'm gonna hit this again. So I'm gonna just reload my app, and now we're gonna try that click event. I'm testing it on my physical device. Let's see how that goes. Otherwise, it just blows up. The demo demons, please be on my side. Let's try. So now it's just running, it's updating the application, and then let's see how that goes. Any questions in the team? We're about to wrap up. This is going to be the last piece that I will be doing. After here, we're going to be doing the raffle, and then some of you, are going to be able to do that. Great. And you see this? This is actually one thing that you will be able to get. Actually, this issue, you're going to be able to get it. The one that says like Invoke customs are only supporting starting in Android O. The way that I fix that is you actually have to increase the API, and then it allows you to actually make this work, because what they're talking about is like, some of those dependencies that is required, you need a higher version of Android. In my particular case, the way that I fixed it, I don't know maybe how the team decided to fix it. Let me show you how I did it. So let me just show you in a minute. I'm gonna be able to show you that piece right now. So here I am in the trivia starter, because I got that, and I'm like, why is it? So if you face issues like this is exactly the reason why we say that we want you to be part of these events, so that you can actually ask us questions. If you're facing any issues, we should be able to help you out, and so that you're not stuck with an issue on your own. So let me show you exactly the way that I fixed it. I'm going to show you right here. So in one of the build gradles, I was able to just change the version, and then I was able to to get that running right there. So let me I'll show you in a minute. And then you have, remember, like those two Gradle files, the module Gradle, and then you have the project Gradle. So I was playing like, okay, so if you go to the project Gradle, which is the module Gradle, I'm sorry. If you go here to the module one, and you see, for example, when you talk, where we're talking about the minimum SDK versions, look at that. So it gives me min SDK 19. I mean, like, it's too minimum. So I say, like, I increased to minimum version of 26. I kept everything the way it was before. And then I tried it again. I'll just stop. I'll try to run it again. But again, this is again the reason why we want you to be part of these code labs. The team is there on deck to help you with any questions. If you're facing any issues in your applications while you're completing the code labs, please make sure to join the Slack channel. There we'll be able to help you along the way. People are all the time in there connected, and they should be able to help you with any questions that you may have. So join the Study Jam 2021 Slack channel in there. Let me try to, I'm just rebuilding again the project. So let me try it again. Let me just kill it one more time so I can start it again. And then after this, then we should be able to wrap up, and then we'll proceed with the raffle and whatnot. Everybody having fun? Rajesh is having an issue. So yes, you make sure that so your illegal argument exception navigation action, you may have yes. So you make sure that you follow how you did the how you place the fragment, because that usually may be the issue. If it tells you that illegal argument exception is, make sure that you added the required packages. Remember, like in the in the two build Gradle files, you need to have those two files. You need to make sure that you have that. Also make sure, yeah, let me stop it one more time. Again, you can, I think I have like the pixel here, like I can do like the emulator as well, but you can try that, either one of those. So see, it actually did load it for me. Sing Gradle, that's right. Sing Gradle is a little green elephant. Okay. Oh, he's saying that. Remember the Gradle is that green elephant on the top right. You see it right here. Like you can actually like sing some of those guys in the Gradle files, like right up here. So thank you, Elizabeth, for that. So make sure that you do that. There you go. Sorry about that. I have a little bit of a cough. Exactly. So the Gradle is the build system that is used. You have maybe other like build systems, but for example, like Gradle is the de facto standard now for like building your application and like doing all your builds within your application. So you should be able to like be familiar with that, get familiar with that at least on a basic level to be able to do that. Does anybody have any questions in the chat? Which channel is the Slack channel? Can the team drop the link to the Slack channel, please, so that people can join? Great, awesome. So yeah, so I can even do like sync now and all that stuff. So you see, great. So now I'm gonna just try to run my application one more time, and then with that, I will wrap this up, and then you will see, yeah, mine is also crashing, but at least you should be able to, follow along. Make sure that, yes, please join the Study Jam channel. We're going to be able to help everyone in there. Make sure that you complete those code labs and show your success, show your badges, show your certificate of completion. That way we know that you guys are completing it and that you're having fun along the way. So let me bring back now, since we're wrapping up, I'm just going to bring the slide one more time. Just wanted to say again, thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Remember, we're going to be raffling off. Did everybody add their names in the raffle? I'm going to bring the wheel of names right now so we can add the wheel of names, and then we're going to be raffling the let me just remove all these names and let's bring up the wheel of names. I'm just going to be adding everyone's names. Again, good luck to everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Please give a +1 to the team on the chat who was on cue, dropping the knowledge, dropping those links, those amazing resources. Liz, Nav, Jin, everybody, Linda, everybody, doing like their fair share. None of these events happen without the collaboration of everyone. So please give them a round of applause, even if it's just virtual, doing a +1. So thank you very much, guys. I'm going to drop the names now. Go ahead, Liz, sorry.
We can stop the recording. The slides in the recording, we'll get them posted on the event on the community site.
Thank you so much, guys. See you on the next one. You can stop the recording now. Great. Great.